on to our coverage of the LEC, our Kia player of the game, but 65% of the votes was the answer actually isn't there. I think it's just
I think Jizuke was a pretty safe bet, though.
I should have waited for the graphic, but of course we're reading the results off, and it just said Kia player of the game.
LEC is scripted. What can we say?
Oh my gosh, got juked. But hey, it's this guy. Oh God. Right, Jizuke did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us, Ender, you cast the game.
Yeah, his Corgi was nuts, you know? I mean, early game was very quiet for Vitality, but those late game team fights, his positioning was actually very, very good. He came in towards the end of fights, so it was usually a little bit more cleanup duty, but he played very well in that champion.
And that bodes well for Vitality going forward. They, of course, needed that. And now on to something I did prepare. It's Fnatic versus SK Gaming. And the big news here is that the superstar Reckless is back in the Fnatic lineup. Reckless is back, but does that mean that Fnatic's problems will completely disappear? Yesterday, Lost versus Rogue, wacky comp, wacky deaths. What can we expect today?
The thing is, we saw Reckless in the draft last week, and we saw what was Fnatic's worst game of the split. For context, we thought that Fnatic was having issues. They died a total of 25 times last weekend. This weekend, they've already... Oh, sorry. Last weekend, they died 30 times. This weekend, they've already died 25 times. This team is dying so much more than they have throughout the entirety of the regular season, and a lot of it comes off the back of the decision-making from Broxah and Hylissang.
Yeah, Brox and Hylissang last week, of course, had two very poor games. Yesterday, they didn't step up to the plate again, but also Bwipo playing top lane Rengar. I mean, I have so many questions about that drafting top lane Rengar and then having this horrible topside 2v2, but there were so many problems, regardless of what Nemesis was doing bottom lane or what Magifelix was doing in the mid lane. There were much worse things going on.
Yeah,
for this
Vedius,
team.
you said even if Reckless was playing yesterday with that draft, nothing would have happened. Yeah. It seems to me that there's a plethora of Fnatic problems all of a sudden. Where did these come from?
So I think a part of it was what we discussed last night on PGL with Crownshot, which is that teams are starting to figure Fnatic out. Something that Ender and I talked a lot about this week was maybe Fnatic will only get an early game lead if Broxah finds an early game lead. And against Splice last week, that's exactly what we saw. Xerxes mitigated and controlled Broxah's aggression, and they were not able to do what they have done throughout the split. And again, we saw against Inspired and his Olaf, if they could not get that early game lead, then Fnatic do not look as dominant as they have.
Yeah, I mean, shut them down in the early game too, but also, like, if you can pick hard CC, that will mess Hylissang up, because Hylissang's almost always going to be on this Rakan. I mean, we saw a Nautilus last week, I believe, when Splice played them, and just absolutely shut him down. These hard CC, very easy to just lock people down champions that stop any playmaking has got to be a good choice.
Yeah, this is the comp they ran versus Rogue, of course, behind us, but the reason why we talk this way about Fnatic is because this is, of course, the Fnatic that won that many titles in Europe, that went to the World Final, then came back, did quite well in spring, and then was really disappointed that they didn't make the final, which they should have been, right? So we expect of them to keep it going. Now that they had the upper hand, they were in first place. And I think that we are disappointed more by the way that they are losing. Is that fair to say?
I mean, the reality is, right, they were a 7-0 team, and how they lost was uncharacteristic of what I expect from Fnatic. So alarm bells start to ring for me. Okay, maybe it's a one-off game, maybe it's something we can just brush aside, but then the second game happens, and I'm like, okay, there's clearly something more here that Fnatic is struggling with, and they need to fix these issues. Fortunately for them, it's halfway through the split that they're identifying them.
Yeah, so let's see. One positive note, possibly, if Reckless gets 5 kills, he'll have 1,500 career kills, and that would be more kills than Schalke, XL, and Rogue have in LEC history. So, we'll see. We'll see if that's enough to pull Fnatic over the finish line against SK Gaming. And for SK Gaming, it's also not going too well, of course. Our playoff team from spring is now on a 4-game losing streak. We got a lot of insight in PGL from their AD carry Crownshot, basically saying we don't have as much confidence in the early game. We're not making things happen as much.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, or he said they stagnated. I actually think they've regressed a little bit too, because we look at players like Selfmade and Pyrion in particular, and they have really just not been performing for this team, particularly in early games. Selfmade was always the guy that was going. He got so many first bloods last split. He was always so active, and Pyrion was the rock for this team. In yesterday's game, we saw Pyrion going up to help Selfmade in the early laning phase to go get a Scuttle Crab, and then just flashing the wrong way, making very uncharacteristic plays that I think are going to hold this team back.
Players are about ready, so...
Yeah, I also just think that something that really resonated with me was the whole league in Europe is elevating and getting better and getting smarter, specifically about how the game is played. And SK, it feels like that they're not keeping up. Crownshot, highlighted that it feels like that they cannot keep up with how quickly the rest of the team is getting, how the other teams are improving at a dramatic rate. So moving into the second half, we can only hope that they identify these issues, and a win against Fnatic would be a great start in the same vein as Vitality took down Origin.
Yeah, both teams need to turn it around. They need to bounce back with a win to start the second half of the split. Let's see who pulls it off.
Thank you very much, Shox. I'm Dracos. This is, of course, Frosk, and that was a
Shox laugh.
Shox laugh. Not sure if you could hear that one.
Not my
Giggle
laugh.
at the back end of that segment. Now, we are getting ready for SK Gaming versus Fnatic. We heard a lot from the desk, but this does feel like a bit of a matchup where we have to reset some expectations. For Fnatic, it's easy to do because Rekkles is now returning. For the side of SK, you're kind of hoping for them to reset expectations because it has been a struggle for them in the past few weeks.
I think it's also about finding identity and like if SK need to kind of figure out what is their play style going to be for summer, what's really going to work for them. Are they going to get firepower and teeth back into self-made and try to follow him through? Whereas on the other side for Fnatic, it's have they plateaued? Do they go back to what's worked with them with Rekkles, and can this team kind of find that second win to evolve in the back half of summer in time for playoffs?
A damn good question. Picks and bans now on the cards as we get ready here. Rekkles, of course, back on stage. Nemesis back in the mid lane, and the Fnatic fans, well, they haven't gone anywhere. And yeah, welcome back indeed. Instant Sivir Xayah bans. Fnatic also going to ban away Kiana.
So I think one of the crucial bans against Fnatic that we see a lot of teams leverage is something like the Aatrox Tower. But because SK Gaming are leveraging so much at Rekkles, if that Aatrox does kind of slip through the ban phase and end up in Whippo's hands, I just think that Whippo looks like a completely different player when you get something like an Aatrox versus anything else. So I'm curious how deep SK Gaming are going to go down this hole of targeting Rekkles.
And obviously, it's very easy to be critical of Fnatic after that loss to Splice. The game yesterday, some people will chalk up to kind of just being a one-off. But in that game, in that Splice game, Whipple was a star performer in the early to mid game in terms of his laning phase. Yes, the team fell apart, but he still looked incredible in the Aatrox. We'll see here. SK Gaming will not ban it away. Will they try to first pick it, or is it even going to be a priority for them? The Corki taken away from Nemesis, no surprises there. Maybe TF could be his next go-to, and Fnatic really taking their time on this final ban.
But so many champions have slipped through the holes here. Things like the Karma, like the Azir, like the Lux that we've seen a lot more LEC teams paying attention to and giving a lot of respect. I feel like Lux lowers in priority a bit just because Xayah's taken away, so there's less likelihood that you'll see a Rakan. As I say that though, Fnatic like, no, take it away.
And to be fair, if Hylissang wants to play his Rakan, we saw how hard he can get countered by a Lux player that is patient, that is willing, that can land those bindings in clutch moments where Hylissang would normally find these crazy flanks. Maybe trying to limit that option. SK debating what they can go for here. Could try to go for something more passive like a Tahm Kench. Could try to take the Rakan themselves, but instead it will be the Sylas, the league's kind of, I think, flavor of the month first pick. We'll see where it gets flexed, how they want to utilize it. Jungle, obviously rising in popularity.
And I felt like there were so many options. With Olaf being banned, I felt that Nico fell down in priority slightly just because Nico pairs very well with Olaf. Nico's usually the champion that SK Gaming put a lot of priority on. And then the other one that stood out to me was the likes of the Karma. So I find it really interesting, and I'm curious how many ways SK Gaming can flex this Sylas pick that they value it so much more over something like the Karma that Whippo now gets his hands on.
Such a difficult champion to play against on this patch. Also very supportive of a player like Rekkles, whether it's going to support or top lane, I imagine will go into the hands of Whippo, but the flexibility is there. And I'm left kind of scratching my head wondering the same question, because I look at a guy like Sakura and I say, Karma's like a dream champion for a man who loves ranged top laners and wants to sit on an island. Karma is the queen of sitting on an island. And now not only are you facing down a Karma, you're facing down Brox's Lee Sin, and you can tell the Fnatic fans are excited about that, and for good reason.
Yeah, finally going back to comfort. I think it just goes back to the idea that Sylas is a champion that is very good when you give him to professional play because there's just such a high ceiling that he can play to. But I also think he's a really good champion into a team like Fnatic, who do like to fight, who usually bring a lot of these key ultimates that Sylas can punish with his kit.
And obviously stealing Lee Sin ultimate already fantastic. The potential for hard CC between the Nico, the Nautilus, and the Sylas as the three picks are now locked in for the side of SK Gaming is huge, and there are things that I like to see here. Self-made on a potential playmaker if he does get his hands on the Sylas, but more importantly, comfort for Sakura, and point and click engage for Dreams. That said though, all of this is being traded for comfort picks on the side of Fnatic. So outside of the Sylas and the Karma, pretty much everyone is getting to play some of their top 3 most preferred champions.
Yeah, so you got comfort pick for SK Gaming on the side of Fnatic. Yes, it's still comfort, but I also like how it's a lot of power given to Broxah, not just because he's on his Lee Sin, but in tandem with Nemesis Twisted Fate. There's this idea that once Broxah is level 6, that he can start really going on the aggressive, going on the hunt, and then he's got the Twisted Fate to back him up. And with Karma, if she does slot up into that top lane, having a lot of priority in so many different matchups, I think it just opens up the possibility that Fnatic want to attack Self-Made with Broxah's Lee Sin and get the rest of Fnatic's members behind him with these first 3 picks.
Going to be a difficult situation, most certainly in the early game, depending on who can find a lead here. But the Pyke will be banned away. The Aurelia as well. See what Fnatic's final ban will be as they head to the second phase. Of course, on red side, luxury of last pick Kaisa going to be the option. Now, we have already seen 2 AD carry bans. That will be the 3rd.
This is going to be the Jinx game?
Push ground shot. But, I mean, Ezreal's still up.
I mean, for Reckless.
Oh, for Reckless. That, I thought, I mean, we've got quintessential Jinx players. I'm voting Tristana, personally.
I think I would like a Tristana, but I love Jinx. I know Reckless, big Jinx player.
I don't know. Tom Kench also still up. Definitely not what you think of when you think of Hylissang, but actually surprising how many top supports are still left up and available.
I think now that if they lock in this Rakan, I think it's more likely that you'll see the Tristana, which means that Crown Shot will probably see this as well, just because if you take a Jinx with the Rakan, then you're a low mobility ADC. That's a pivot.
That's a big pivot.
Oh no, is it Reckless on Karma?
Oh, it might be. All right, it could be Hylissang on Karma. Neither of those options excite me greatly, as historically not fantastic. Crown Shot's Ezreal, however, comfort picks. Once again, this draft has been the story of comfort. We literally, on the top side of the map for Fnatic, have premier comfort picks. If you could dream draft for Fnatic, it would involve the Twisted Fate. It would be the Lee Sin. It would be the Aatrox.
But then you hit the Karma pick, you're like,
but then you hit the bot lane, and yeah, things get a little weird. I will say that. And Cameron did reveal a little hover over on the screen there, but I'm not going to talk about that one quite yet. But that was definitely the hover over that was on the screen. They get the Yasuo. Oh, and I love this. SK, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. This is a chance to reset expectations for this team. Will they still be chasing playoffs? Can they show us more than what it's been in the last few weeks?
But so many times the Yasuo has been banned away, it's usually been in response to a potential bot lane Yasuo. That one's not going bot.
Nope. Go mid, block a gold card. Twisted Fate doesn't get to play League of Legends, potentially.
That's why he plays side lanes.
May have to go toe-to-toe with the Aatrox, though. See where these lane assignments end up. And now we have...
murmurs from the crowd.
That's right. I know what you're all thinking, Fnatic fans. Reckless's Karma. Yes, this is what I bought tickets for. Yeah. Ooh.
But hey, you get Pyrion's Yasuo. Yeah.
With a subtle flame. Well, for SK Gaming, I love what they're putting together here, Frost. They have a ton of engage. They have a ton of hard CC. This is the thing that I want from SK Gaming, is setting up individual players really to shine. And on the side of Fnatic, I think we're not going to see the Reckless show. Instead, it's going to be much more about the other individual contributors.
The thing about Yasuo is that he usually demands a lot of attention. Yeah, he can be safe into the lane, but I feel like especially against the Twisted Fate, there's going to be that point where you're talking about that Nemesis isn't there to play the lane. He's there to farm it and then look for opportunities with his destiny. So I'm curious how much time Self-Made is going to give Pyrion and how much attention that they can make there.
What can they do? We'll have to find out. SK falling fast. Fnatic a few slip-ups here and there, but fans still eager to count them amongst the top of Europe, and no doubt that they are there for now. We are gearing up for the 4th showdown in our day of League of Legends. There's a Yasuo in the mid lane. There's a Karma in the hand of Reckless. Brox is on his Lee Sin. We are set up for an incredibly explosive game of League of Legends, no doubt. And as the Boy Wonder returns to the stage, got to see what exactly he can get done here.
Team player, he's back. The chase potential with this squad is massive because they have the Karma as well as the Rakan, so think of the engage potential.
Fnatic versus SK Gaming. Both teams barreling out of the base already. We are poised and ready for some early action. Fnatic fans out in force to support their team. Hylissang, unsurprisingly, I'm going to guess that he's skilled W level 1. I'm going to guess that he's going to fish for a level 1 play because that is the Hylissang style, but that's not really Crown Shot. Goes in, but has locked him up anyway. He'll find out it's Sakre, but I don't think he's too concerned. Broxah now going to come in. It looks like he's going to have to flash out. Sonic Wave will not connect, but might just take it into self-made. He is. He turns right back onto Sakre. Sakre has taken Shape Splitter level 1. The Ignite's down. The flash forward. Broxah's going to get first blood. Here comes the gold card. Broxah's party. Can he make it out? No, getting taken down. 1 for 1 so far. Bwipo, where the cooldown's at. That's going to be a knockup on Pyrion. No mana left for the Yasuo. Doesn't need mana. That's flow. And while I make a fumble, both teams will walk out with the 1 for 1.
No mana left on the Yasuo.
Why is it the same color?
Okay, that was good. Fnatic in level 1s, and now it looks like Fnatic in a potential lane swap right there because Pyrion doesn't have access to that flash. See if they can punish it. Broxah now starting on his red buff. I think that this might be some early pathing towards the mid lane, potentially.
Take a look back.
At that one.
Fake Crown Shot is exposed, and I like this. Starting Infernal Chain's obviously not ideal for Bwipo in a lot of these trades, but Broxah with the confidence to go in here.
Yeah, immediately turns his damage around on Sakre. It's in the flash ignite from Hilly to follow up. So Rakan without the flash obviously hurts a little bit, but because he still has that mobility on the W, he'll be okay.
And now as we check in, it looks like Broxah has started red buff and opted to go for Krug. Selfmade will be mirroring the same path. Both may rush for the early level 3. And as you mentioned already, just to point out to the audience, it will be the Yasuo versus the Aatrox in the early lane, as well as the Twisted Fate versus the Nico. Now, of course, Nemesis has played this matchup, just not on the top side of the map, and Bwipo, no stranger to just about any Aatrox matchup.
I mean, the nice thing is that he has massive advantage here in both the solo lanes, because again, Sakre, Pyrion do not have access to the flash. I like the fact that they are trying to protect Nemesis a bit here, and Bwipo can still have great gank setup and a lot of kill pressure here for Broxah if he does decide to visit this lane. Otherwise, it looks like a potential split map, although nope, we're just going to cross over.
We're already seeing some confident engages on the bottom side of the map. Crown Shot taking a bit of damage here, but Dream's not too scared. Aftershock going to make him kind of miserable to try to engage on.
This is a really good read from Selfmade to recognize that the wave is not ideal setup here for Pyrion. So Pyrion unfortunately being denied a lot of CS, and Brox is actually just shadowing above Bwipo to help him punish.
Dream's taking a lot of damage though. Hylissang continues to step forward, but taking a lot of damage back. Crown Shot, if he tries to go for this one, it's going to be a big risk. Clamor comes back for Hylissang, so we'll be able to get that shield back up. And honestly, a lot of aggressive trading here in the bot lane makes me really happy to see SK's bot lane playing with this much confidence.
But while all that action is happening in the trades on the bot side, on the top side of the map, Broxah has really bullied and kind of muscled Selfmade out of his jungle. Yeah, Selfmade did make out with the camp, and now this is what I thought was going to happen. The vertical jungling has happened, or they're trying to split the map, as Broxah's now moving in onto the blue buff.
We'll just try to take this one away. Pretty easy to imagine Selfmade now moving in. There was a bit of vision there in the river. Selfmade avoiding the Lee Sin, I think very good for him in the early game. I like that Dreams is stepping up to support this effort. Meanwhile, across the map, not going to see a whole ton of action. Bwipo, though, placing down the vision just to make sure, just to double check. This is exactly what is happening, giving Broxah just about perfect information of where he needs to be on the map for now. We'll just stay on the top side jungle, and in the end, nothing special yet. Just the vertical jungling, as you mentioned, and SK is sustaining their bot push.
Yeah, no one's really going to expose themselves here, so there's not a lot of action. It feels like with the assist pings that Pyrion need to peek in that mid lane, seeing if the wave is held away from him. Yeah, it is. The cannon creeps really far forward up the wave, so Pyrion's actually just calling on to Selfmade because he really wants to get this shoved in.
Infernal Chains will not be blocked by the wind wall, well positioned by Bwipo. Being a bit impatient on throwing out that skill shot too far forward to block anything, but a small level advantage due to the experience sitting in front of Bwipo now. Pyrion will be allowed to back off here, so good that Selfmade was there to shadow, stopping Broxah potentially from getting any play, but Broxah, of course, took the time to reset, is now back onto his wolves, and because Selfmade only took a single camp from the enemy jungle, it will be a small advantage to Broxah, but now the engage on the bottom side, Crown Shot forced to shift away. Hylissang continues to move forward, though, finding the shields there on the battle dance. Will back away.
Just still a lot of damage coming out very early on from this Karma. Also has the wave very far forward. Of course, it helps that Crown Shot's on something like an Ezreal, so he can still farm from a distance and feels pretty safe. But so far in multiple lanes from Fnatic, it's trying to deny as much CS as possible from SK's laners. Hasn't really reflected in the scoreboard, save for that mid lane.
And ultimately, you are still looking also at the Kleptomancy coming in from Nemesis, so he will just be printing a bit of money here in the early game. Still no greater leads, no hugely substantial leads quite yet. see which team wants to go for the first big plays. Of course, we're getting closer and closer to level 6, and it's easy to imagine champions like the Nico, champions like the Lee Sin, the Yasuo, or the Twisted Fate getting something kicked off here.
There's this really volatile window right now where we know that both supports have made the back, and so you can see that Dreams and Hilly was around the mid lane, but now has returned back towards the bottom side. So both mid laners should know that supports are looking for a play, and there they go.
There, Brock's now trying to move his way in. He is not level 6, the knock-up 2, but Pyrion does not have ultimate. Dreams needs to be careful. Is brought back by the Infernal Chains, but will use his ultimate, but he will walk away with his life and his flash intact.
But that's a lot of control wards, and Hilly is underneath SK Gaming without perfect information. They might suspect, but they don't see.
Have to be careful. Whipple, even without ult, is still a terror at this stage of the game. Pyrion will now back off, will not be caught out by the dash, plus the first stack there on the Darkened Blade. Dream's taking a very defensive route back to lane, but a good choice. He doesn't know what's waiting in the darkness there for him, but we certainly do.
Still, this is complete control over this bottom jungle. Deep vision. You can see that the red buff is going to spawn. Meanwhile, Selfmade's like, I'm out of there. We're going to continue to trade maps. And now Fnatic doubling down bot.
Crownshot trying to buy a bit of time. Good knockback there. Crownshot is going to make it out of safety. Still forcing the flash. Dreams locking up the Rakan there mid animation. Crownshot will make it out of safety, but they do get the flash, so advantage there to Fnatic in the end. But it looks like we missed Nemesis burning his flash on the top side of the map. Traded 1-for-1 with Sakura.
And now what was SK Gaming going to do with the information? They have not only seen that Broxa has committed bot lane, but they've seen that he's committed to this Infernal with that control ward on the back. So you can see that Whippo is actually trying to zone Selfmade and Pyrion away from this.
The Ezreal does come in though, gets a bit of chip damage down. Broxy getting lower and lower. Dreams is here. Selfmade trying to move his way in. Twisted Fate ultimate coming out. Selfmade, can he steal the dragon? He has been locked up, but the smite's still going to come through. Pyrion actually going to take down Broxa. In the meantime, the dragon will go over to Nemesis. Not the trade either team was expecting, but Pyrion now trying to dip and dive his way through the rest of the team. Only a few more seconds left on the tornado. Is Pyrion going to go back? No, it looks like he's just going to try to run this one out, but Fnatic should be able to walk this kill down. Not going to be too hard with the wind wall taken away, and Fnatic coming out on top.
And especially Nemesis picking up the kills there and using his TP. Whippo then uses his TP to make sure that Sakura doesn't get anything for free upside in the top. So good trade for Fnatic. They got the Infernal, they picked up the kill, and they managed to now reset their lanes.
This is something that Fnatic always, or never really hesitates to do, is swap lanes mid-game at any point. Make sure that either side laner can use their TP to come help and then return to the necessary objective. And we'll look back at this one as Selfmade desperately tries to get the pit for a steal.
And it looks pretty scary for Fnatic, especially when that dredge line connects. Good job securing the Infernal or managing to get it away there. And then as soon as SK Gaming have been split up and it's kind of every man for himself, it's Pyrion, unfortunately, that's left on the wrong side of the play.
Yeah, not a lot you can do here. Already used wind wall. There is no follow-up, and just can't really do much when you're a Yasuo without a team there to support you, especially when you just look at his itemizations. Obviously, early boots 2 rush makes the lane a lot easier, but does not make you much of a threat in terms of team fighting. Oh, now he has to be careful though, Whippo.
Level 6 on Lee Sin now.
Will miss the Darkened Blade, will hit the second stack. Gonna flash forward. Big chunk of damage. Infernal Chains will be dodged, but he will be brought back. There's the hook, the knock-up. Well played by the rest of the team. Pyrion, though, still gonna be in trouble. Ezreal coming in, will not be enough. Selfmade is now here, but the revive is still there for Whippo. Burning, ticking down, but he will survive. Now backing off. The rest of the team is collapsing. Reckless does so much damage with that Soul Flare, and that's gonna be the kill onto Selfmade.
And they force the play in the mid lane, and they absolutely crack it open, killing Pyrion again and taking full advantage here. And Crownshot might be in trouble.
No flash available from the earlier play. Hillisang knows that he's chasing, looking for his prey.
No.
Reckless ready to walk him down. That's a red buff. You're not getting away from red buff karma, let alone Hillisang's Rakan. Crownshot desperately now trying to run. The rest of Fnatic collapsing. The long slow goodbye, folks. Crownshot doing what he can to get some damage down, but he's just going to walk away. Doesn't even need to look at him when he takes the kill.
Credit to the positioning there from Reckless. So what Crownshot was waiting for is obviously Reckless to commit one side or the other in that musical chairs, and then he tried to go through the big portion of the wall to get away. So Reckless is like, it's fine, we'll walk him out, and just sat on the other side of the wall and waited.
As you take a look back at this one, Windwall blocks a bit here, but Pyrion, there's no real good choice. I like that he pulls forward into Dreams, uses the ulti as a bit of an escape, but sadly the Lee Sin kick obviously used on Dreams to kind of pivot onto the next guy and make it a little bit easier. Self-made, no mana, no stolen ultimate, and I don't know. Silas, conceptually as a jungler, has looked really great, or it seems really great on paper, but I don't think we've seen it yet in the games today.
Unfortunately, I'm trying to figure out kind of like what jungle matchup Silas feels confident in and wins, because it feels like repeatedly he's getting picked into matchups that he's not able to survive in the early phase of the game. And yeah, he can be so potent and powerful once he gets access to level 6 and can use that creativity to really turn the tide of team fights, but we just haven't seen it pay off for a lot of teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. I did not think Reckless would get his 1500th kill on Karma, but we are 3 kills away from that landmark.
Is there anything more fitting than Reckless to get 1,500 kills in the game he does it?
There's
on
literally,
Karma?
I can list literally any other champion in the game League of Legends I think would probably be more fitting. But, you know, you take what you can get, 1,500 kills, obviously landmark achievement. We'll keep you guys posted when it does happen. Or you can look at that scoreboard when that number hits 5. Reckless will have hit his 1,500th career kill in the LEC/ULCS. You're tracking back. Hylissang, no, now looking for a cheeky engage. Selfmade has taken away the quickness, but will not look to follow up here. Dreams of the Ultimate 2 did not want to chase down onto Hylissang, but a lot of engage potential. Key to remember that the Abscond Abduct from Sylas is coded as a knock-up, so could trigger for Yasuo.
They're getting flanked by Hilly. He's underneath them, and he's going in.
Quickness, the flash forward, gonna lock up 2. Selfmade now taking quickness back. They're trying to disrupt the play. Instantly, Yasuo in the midst of the team now backing up. The wind wall there is gonna make it a lot harder to play this one
Teleport
out.
behind.
TP coming in from behind, well called. Now Crown Shot ready to go over the wall. A freeze frame for a brief moment. Football has interrupted the TP. Dreams now on the retreat. Pyrion has been taken out, and this is going from bad to worse for SK Gaming.
Yeah, the damage had been done for SK Gaming. Fnatic have had complete control over this side of the map, especially this jungle, and constantly you're seeing Hylissang and Broxa duck in here and look for these engages and find them.
And now 2 kills left for Reckless, and more importantly, disaster for SK Gaming, 18.7k to 20 point. Whoa.
I think he question mark pinged himself.
Huh.
As a, I'm gonna say probably a fat finger.
That one's for you, Memento. Anywho, League of Legends, checking in. Fnatic
Oh,
still
don't do it to him, observers. Okay, thank you.
big lead. Do it to him, observers. Take a look back at the fight. Frost, break this one down for me.
Yeah, Hilly got underneath him. He flashed. He then used the quickness. Got multiple targets, and then Fnatic dogpiled in here. Teleport is going to be canceled here by Bwipo. Hello.
Fantastic play there, and we look back at that one. And of course, as great as Windwall is, did not stop the Karma from landing the snare, and very easy once Yasuo is locked down to find that kill. Still, we see Pyrion woefully behind in items, but now a TP into the mid lane, double TPs, in fact. Focusing on the Herald. Reckless goes to the midst of the team, but is unconcerned. Stolen Karma abilities. Mantra, the soul player, but Dreams now going forward. The Yasuo going to go in the midst of everyone. Windwall could be big here, but Pyrion is already going to be dead. He has to get out to safety. Dreams will be the sacrificial lamb. Sakre with a massive ult. A big pop off, but there's no follow-up here. The gold card will connect. Selfmade on the retreat. SK are getting torn apart. They bit off more than they can chew, and in the fight that they pick, they die. Crown Shot next on the list. Fnatic are tearing through SK as Selfmade will get a kill back.
But check out Crown Shot's ultimate. It just came off of cooldown. That might be a completely different fight for SK Gaming if they decide to stack their ultimates. Like, imagine the Miko ult goes off and then a True Shot Barrage just wipes through Fnatic. But because they didn't have the necessary tools on the fight that they picked, this is a massive swing for Fnatic. The fact that they take the team fight but then now swing the Rift Herald down, like, that might be the death's blow.
Huge advantage. 4K gold this early in the game. 14 minutes into the game, and Infernal Drake as well. Fnatic absolutely dominating. Selfmade still comfortable on the top side. Good that he burns that Aatrox ult essentially for nothing in the trade, but very small consolation prize in the scheme of things. And when we look back at that play, coordination, once again, not there for SK. Good individual moments. Great start to the fight. And then as we look at this, how many of these ults happen at the same time, Frosker?
So the play starts off with a one-way ticket of Reckless into the middle of 3 people. So he rightfully flashes back to safety. Hilly also just trying to escort him back out. But then just overreaching a bit here from SK, getting way too overzealous. Again, the True Shot Barrage just isn't quite available. But if you have that type of DPS that comes across when Sakura sets up his ultimate, maybe that's a good fight for SK Gaming.
Yeah, and if the Yasuo has... It's just one of those fights where you can see it in the textbook, right? You know what it looks like when they're planning it. But maybe not here. Sakura, ooh, just Selfmade rather. Taken out in an instant, and Broxa now unstoppable. And this is why you don't give the man Lee Sin. 6, 2, and 3. It's like 4-0-4 in the early game last time we saw him, and another all-star performance from the Fnatic jungler.
It's also really cool to just kind of watch the combination and the sheer mobility of Rakan and Lee Sin. Their ability to find you and how far they can cross the screen in like a blink of an eye is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, definitely miserable to play against, even for a champion like the Sylas. Fnatic will break their second tower of the game, continue to extend their gold lead. Moments ago, it was 4K, it is now 6K, folks, as well as an Ocean Drake. And we're looking for SK to try something here to get back into this game, but for now, it is absolute control for Fnatic.
SK Gaming, first and foremost, need to get control back over their jungle so they can get to these farm lanes pretty safely and again start funneling resources in. So it should be, you know, getting your sweepers, clearing out all of these control wards that have just been living in their jungle and in that river. It feels like Fnatic have had complete control over bottom river for the majority of the game.
A difficult thing to give up as well when so much of your playmaking potential with Dreams is on that bottom side of the map, though. They're now a bit more free to reassign their lanes as those towers start to fall.
They want picks. You can see that the SK Gaming are trying the hide and surprise.
The classic Fnatic special, some would even call it. Control Ward will stop that in its tracks. And yesterday, I believe it was the self-made Purian duo looking for picks. Today, it's a different story. Hylissang putting Rakan to good use. Some fancy footwork there to make his way out of that play, dodging more than a few skill shots.
Just breaking ankles, it's fine.
Styling on him. Oh! Well, that gold graph definitely tells you the story of the game. Once again, unlike yesterday where we saw Nukeduck, I think, be pretty much the sole controller of his team's gold lead, this gold lead very spread out for Fnatic. And Hylissang now wants to get a fight started. Broxton now following up. Gold card is going to go in. Nemesis not good, but there is nothing else there to follow up. The kick, where is it going to go? Dreams will get taken down. Nemesis with more than enough damage to secure that one. Yasuo and Nico left sleeping, not able to come to the play.
Great maneuver there from Fnatic. They pick up the kills. Unfortunately, there's not a massive objective that they can immediately turn to, so they probably just placing down some deep vision, picking up these waves. That top tower is the next easiest structural objective that they can turn towards.
Overall, much stronger performance from Fnatic in this game than what we saw last time. Regardless of how Magic Felix played, of course, for the team, you can just tell that this is a much more rehearsed and practiced roster. And the Hylissang and Broxa especially are just on the same wavelength.
Okay, he's got backup.
Pushes all here to make sure that Yasuo cannot dash through him. Well played, and Yasuo will not be taken down. A beautiful escape from Purian, but he still looks like he's going to set to fall. Purian trying to block the damage, uses the wind wall, but it is not enough. So close to a montage career moment right there, but at the end of the day, Fnatic say no, stop it in its tracks.
Yeah, the reinforcements just weren't quite there in time. You can see that Dreams was walking up that that lane, so they knew what the play was going to be. Again, the easiest structural objective for Fnatic to take down. They now push it down for free, but not quite cohesive enough. And that's been the story for SK Gaming, as Hilly doesn't know he's on a ward.
Now, Brox is there too. Looks like SK are looking for a little bit of revenge. That's going to be two locked up by the quickness. Hylissang will go down. Broxa is next on the list. Crown Shot now looking to chase. Lee Sin, of course, incredibly mobile. Just gone to duck. Where's it going to go? Reckless there for the shield and the movement speed, and Broxa will walk his way out, but SK finally getting something back.
Hilly almost got himself out. I think if he had been a bit more liberal with the flash, I think he wanted to hold it until the very end. He possibly could have made it out alive there.
And overall, Frostgurn, I like what we're seeing from Fnatic. I want to give special notice to Bwipo, who has had a completely different performance from his game yesterday. We saw yesterday that he was the Rengar top. It was a liability. It was a huge struggle. 3 isolated deaths. And this time around, not only has he not died, he's been doing well in his lane matchups. He's gone top, he's gone mid, he's gone where he needed to go for the team. He's canceled TPs from Sakura. And while this game will not go down as the Bwipo highlight reel with everyone else playing so well, I feel like he is a performer that we have to take a look at.
He was definitely on a comfort pick this time around. It feels like taking the weaker 2v2 of the Sylas Rengar top yesterday was really what spelled disaster for Fnatic. So we take another look at this highlight moment from Purian, almost, but just not quite.
Yeah, a lot of almost Yasuo moments out there.
So caught out by the control ward. Again, Hilly's got flash here, and it's so hard to catch the mobility of this Rakan and Lee Sin, and just still breaking ankles there, dodging out so many ultimates. I think if Hilly had maybe flashed a little bit earlier, he gets out of that alive, but good pickup by SK.
Goes through, Purian. Knockup is there. Selfie now moving into body block. Kick forward. Is he going to follow up and try to kick? Nope. I was ready for the battle of kicks, Frostgurn. I was ready for the Lee Sin to try to kick the Sylas into the low health target and ready for Selfmade to try to kick the Lee Sin away.
I just want to see them kick each other at the same time and both just blow back.
Yeah. Outside of blind pick, we rarely get to see that interaction, so that would have been pretty hype. Nemesis, though, taking a lot of... Oh, Crown Shot! Taking the Sonic Wave to the face. Definitely has to be careful. Still stepping forward, though. A lot of confidence there as Dreams will now back off. Crown Shot needs to hit a few more of these Mystic shots if he wants to bully Nemesis out, but I like that he's consistently stepping forward to do so.
He's definitely still doing a lot of damage, and it still has a bit of room to go for as he's waiting to stack his items up. But this is the slow bleed out from Fnatic. They're moving from wave to wave, constantly shoving it in. So while SK Gaming are kind of dealing with one pressure point on their map, Fnatic have set up another one, so still managing to chip away a lot of this map pressure and these objectives, continuing to snowball their lead.
And if you're on the side of SK, you talk about looking for picks, and it makes sense right now as you can see Fnatic kind of just cleaning up these unchecked objectives, because look at the bounties. I mean, we got 600 gold for Broxa, 300, 300, a 10-stack Medjais from Reckless. Killing one of these members is crucial if SK wants to find a way back to the game, but for now, this is... Normally, Fnatic have this big explosive moment. They've been having so many of them this game, and Brox is looking to have one more. Pyrion not able to win wall that one. Can't imagine he's going to be able to get out of this one comfortably. Clean plays from Broxa. Self-made, no win wall for himself. Won't be able to block that one. The rest of the team now collapsing. SK. Oh, there's Fnatic's going to put him in a body bag. Crown shot's running away. The flash takes him to the wall, but Bwipo, the flash extends the play. Dream's now trying to run. Nemesis on a killing spree, and this is just a Fnatic highlight reel.
You know, I don't know if it's Reckless, if it's the fact that they have a Karma, if it's the fact that they had their Wheaties, but this Fnatic looks completely different than the one that we saw yesterday. This is the Fnatic that we wanted to see when they faced G2. This is the Fnatic that fans want to see as we go into playoffs. They just look completely revigorated.
An absolute slaughter thus far. A beautiful fight in favor of Fnatic with 3 dead for SK. It is an uncontested Baron. No one left alive to try to get this one done as Sakura and Nautilus will try to get something back, but at the end of the day, this is just Fnatic's game to lose. If they make mistakes, SK can get back in, but otherwise, Fnatic in total control.
I do want to take a moment to kind of look at the composition, because we've seen it play out a couple of times, and I think it's pretty cool because it almost always has uptime, since so many of these champions have pretty low cooldowns, and because you're dealing with champions that have so much either mobility or semi-global presence, like the Twisted Fate ultimate, the fact that Rakan and Lee Sin can bounce around everywhere, the fact that you can chase someone with Karma, it just means that Fnatic's ability to upkeep pressure continuously in so many multiple lanes, so much at once, and then immediately collapse on fights, it must be very chaotic to play against if you're SK Gaming. You step out of line once, and you're gonna get caught. Someone will find you or chase you down. And if you're not paying attention to how you're managing all of your waves, you're very quickly going to lose a structure.
And if we wanted to talk about 5v5, team fighting prowess, there was a time last spring where I said, hey, the SK is kind of a team that could keep up with Fnatic in theory on even footing. But if you want to talk about macro right now, SK is a team that has not been playing well together as a unit. We talked about setting up individual playmakers. The issue is you're going to need more than one playmaker to burst through this Karma. And if you mess up, all of her cooldowns are back, and you're never killing anyone. And we're going to see a lot more fights like the one we just saw as they break into the base, but now looking for the pick. Pyrion trying to get something. Broxa going in for the 1v1. The pop blossom coming out, but will not connect. Eyes on the bottom side of the screen. Broxa making it look all too easy as Fnatic will just walk into the base, take an inhibitor, and might just walk out.
I mean, this composition is like dancing circles around SK Gaming right now. They're caught with their pants down, their bot lane. Meanwhile, Bwipo has also taken the top side of the map. The wave is pushing in. They're going to continue to put chip damage down here. Like, SK Gaming are going to get desperate.
They need to. There's desperation. No, that's going to be that. No, still managing to live. Now going back in. Hylissang's a madman. He will give his life, but he has set up now for the team play to go through. Life taken down in the end. The turret now destroyed. Nemesis moving forward with the gold card. Where it's going to go? Connects on to Self-Made. Pyrion looking for an opportunity to find the knockup, but the ult alone will not be enough damage. Fnatic will grab another inhibitor and walk away.
And instantaneously, there's 2 inhibs down. SK Gaming backs against the wall. They don't have the items to do any damage. It feels like the only dude who actually does damage right now is Crown Shot, but Pyrion is put so far behind. SK Gaming are banking on a miracle.
Right here you see, very good catch by Dreams, admittedly, and Hylissang doing what he can to keep the fight going. Trying to find that kill. Nemesis now in trouble. Ulti coming out. Selfie gonna take it, and the cold card. Another ulti stealing. There's no CC left. They had to wait for that. They had to wait for the ultimate, but they mess up the execution, and now Fnatic are looking to turn. Reckless starting to chase. Sakura very much in trouble. The tornado is available. Where's he going to go? Eyes on the Aatrox. Where is he going to go? Broxa now coming over the wall as well. Gold card will not connect when wall used. Major cooldown. Fnatic with a window to punish. They are just going to move in and break this tier 2 tower.
But it's completely fine. This is exactly what they wanted anyway. There's nothing left for them to take on the map. So Fnatic are like, okay, we didn't get the kills, but hey, we wanted to be here anyway.
What you said about kind of how the macro play is going, the macro play too, just dancing circles around SK. Bwipo now fearless. GA backing him up as he steps forward. Ultimate still available. World Ender as he moves in. Might give up the GA, but how much else will he give? Hylissang has locked up Dreams. Dreams is already dead. Crownshot trying to fire back, but the ult is not effective. Crownshot retreating into the enemy minion line just to get away from Bwipo. Brox's ultimate has been stolen away. Self-made. Can he make a hero play here? We have the ultimate available as well. Sakura, will he find the knockup? The ultimate now taken. Hylissang moving into the rest of the team. Bwipo in the midst of everything. But Broxa is legendary. Reckless, will he find his 1500th kill in this game? 2 more is all it's going to take. Can he
It's
find it?
one.
Wants 1 more. Is he going to get it or is he going to wait for next game? Reckless in this moment. It looks like Fnatic have their eyes on the prize. They'll leave 1 more waiting. You're going to have to wait for next week's folks before Reckless's 15th 100 kill. And Fnatic will take the win.
It would be right if he got it on Karma.
I feel like they have to let him play Tristana. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, that was a game very cleanly, very crisply won by the Fnatic lineup.
And it started from level 1. Already out the gate, of course, Fnatic, they have Hilly on Rakan, Hilly on Reckless. He takes W, he's over the wall, he's looking for the play, he finds his mark, and they burn 2 key flashes from both solo laners of SK Gaming.
And just an excellent start. From there, it only got better, kind of consistently outmaneuvering around the map, and once the plays started happening, they really never stopped. Fnatic keeping it at that breakneck pace for the vast majority of the game. And yet another Broxa Lee Sin highlight reel. Hylissang with a highlight reel of his own. And you can see why the champions like Lux are banned away. When Hylissang is allowed to play Rakan in a good matchup, pretty easy win.
I mean, that's the nice thing, that when you have something like a Karma, she doesn't need any assistance. She doesn't need a babysitter of the support to stay down there. So if Reckless is super fine on Karma, he's just farming it up, it allows Hilly to unlock himself. Yes! It allows Hilly to unlock himself and then just start blitzing either at Pyrian or into the jungle behind Broxa and causing so much chaos.
And it was a good look. But if you're not satisfied, if you want more Fnatic, don't worry. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Bwipo and Broxa for picks and bans before Splice and G2 face off in our match of the week. And of course, Fnatic's top laner jungle will also be sticking around for post-game lobby. But as we talk more about this game, as we give Fnatic praise, why not back it out with some visual elements? Relive some of the highlight moments here from this Fnatic squad.
And here's the thing about Hilly. You know, I think most people will look at recency bias and they say, like, last 2 games, maybe 3 games, they're like, okay, you know, I'm not really about Fnatic. I think it might be inconsistent. But Hilly is actually having probably one of his best summer split performances. His Pike game against G2, proving it with this Rakan game here. I actually think Hilly is on fire for summer, outside of maybe 2 game missteps.
That's the thing. Hilly takes risks, and when it goes well, it always looks incredible. And this play, this is where we felt like maybe SK had a chance that the Yasuo ult combines with the rest of the ults, but the team...
They just didn't have the cooldowns.
You can see Crown Shot leaping in. He's ready to get this fight kicked off. Sakura there too. It's just so disjointed, and that felt like the story of SK in this series. And as great as this fight looks for Fnatic, and as good of a story as it gives them coming out of this game, it does make me feel a bit remorseful for SK. I want to see some team play. I want to see some coordination from these guys, and it just feels like everyone is on a different page.
Yeah, there's some hiccups. They're not quite linked up just yet. So unfortunately, SK Gaming continuing to slide down in the standings, but super fun comp from Fnatic. When it got room to run, it was running you over no matter what.
My God. I think you're right. In the duo of Rakan and Lee Sin,
like, you can't get away from them. You can't catch them.
Yeah.
They're so slippery.
Look, I can't play either of those champions, but I will definitely tell Ender and Medic to duo so we can see like what that looks like when it's not, you know, Hylissang Broxa.
But that's the best thing about these style of compositions and these 2 champions. Because like the ceiling is so high, you very rarely get to see a composition executed so beautifully like that, because you very rarely get to see players of like that type of caliber on those champions to showcase just the maximum potential that they can output.
Maximum potential might just result in a key player of the game. Outlaw Esports is the place. Broxa, Reckless, Hylissang are your choices. I'm not going to weigh in here, folks.
I think it's Broxa. But Hilly, very close.
Well, vote. Go to Twitter. Do it. For more on Fnatic's win, here's Lore with Coach Youngbuck.
Thank you, Dracos, and thank you, Youngbuck, for joining me. Actually, who should get player of the game here?
I'm going to say Nemesis because he ulted from base into the first Drake fight and stole the Infernal Drake. So I think that was a really pivotal moment in the game because that's where we actually started having our lead.
All right, well, Twitter, you got it. Now, a bit more about yesterday's game. Things didn't go your way, if I may say. So what did you say to the players after the game?
There was a silence for roughly 5 or 10 minutes, just among all the players and staff. And then I just started asking the question, like, okay, who's going to take responsibility for this game? because it was so bad from an individual performance point of view. We never really got to play the game, and I felt really bad for Felix because he seemed to be really calm and fine in the game, and then the long-standing members were just getting into fights that they shouldn't be taking and losing, and he was the one that had to carry us instead of the other way around.
Well, things got on fire on social media about that, and some people were saying that the game would have been the same if Reckless was in. So what is your take on that? Do you think it would have been the same?
I think considering how the other players performed, the first 35 minutes would not have been any different. But you can argue that Reckless in a team fight, like the final team fight, may have performed better than Nemesis would have. But that's because that's what Reckless does.
All right, well, what's done is done anyway. You picked up a win in the end and against SK. What I want to know now, we know that you have Dan on standby and Magic Felix was playing yesterday. So can we expect more swaps from Fnatic?
Of course, I cannot go too much into that. But yeah, they are here in Berlin right now, and Dan is here for the rest of the season at the very least, and Magic Felix will probably go home to play from the London office. But yeah, there's always that possibility that if we think that there's a specific matchup or a requirement to have 3 solo laners or a different jungle style, then we can always look into it.
All right, well, let's see in the weeks to come. Now, we see the 2 remaining teams getting ready. You played Splice last week. Didn't go your way. But do you think they have a chance against G2 today?
No, I am going to give it to G2 quite handily. I still feel really bad about the match we had against Splice last week. It felt that we lost just because we did not know how strong Kiana was and what it was doing. We got tricked by a few LEC teams by thinking this champion was very bad because they were scrimming it against us and not doing so well. And then Humanoid just popped off and showed us what a champion is really capable of.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another champion like this right now that will surprise G2, especially G2. So I think they will win it.
All right, well, we'll see that in a few minutes. Thank you very much, Youngbuck, for joining me for this interview. And we're going to take a break. And coming back, it's going to be match of the week, Splice versus G2.